Hey guys, hope everybody's having a great New Year's and had a great Christmas as well. Today I'm going to be giving you a Sorceress guide for 2022 after the reboot and showing people who may be interested in what it looks like in PvP now. So to take a look at the skill tree first, you're going to be seeing a whole lot of skills that you may not know what to do, and you do need a lot of skill points, but there are skills that you don't necessarily need at the start. These are Absolute Darkness and Black Wave are the first two skills you're not really going to be using early on until you get into more mechanical things when you get further on and advance with the class. Darkness Released is just a KD you don't necessarily need. Ultimate Midnight Stinger is something you definitely don't want to take. It will mess up a lot of skills. You are going to want to have the absolute version. Russian Crow is kind of optional. It is a mobility, but it is kind of short. Bloody Calamity you want maxed. Claws of Darkness, skill you don't really need. Beat Kit Crow Flare are kind of niche 1v1 skills, so you don't necessarily need them. Mark of Shadow is just a skill that you lock if you don't PvP or PvE, so you can set aside a different skill preset that doesn't have that level to save skill points. Signs of Agony is another skill that you really don't use as well as Abyssal Flame in Awakening, so you can lock those or unlevel them since they are pretty unused to save the skill points. You can take Abyssal Flame leveled up if you do take their bomb, which I'll talk about later on, but otherwise you don't need it. Bloody Contract is a heal that is pretty useless, so don't even worry about leveling this since it barely heals. The kicks you can take, it does have an accuracy buff on it, but if you don't really fight evasion buffs too much or don't have too many skill points, it's okay to leave these out for a bit, but everything else below you're going to want to take, maybe besides Shard Explosion, which did get a damage buff, but still not that great. Going into the Awakening, you're going to want really everything maxed here. If you are just starting out, the main three skills you're going to want to focus on are Grim Reaper's Judgment, Swirling Darkness, and Soul Reaper. For early on grinding, maybe just Violation to spam in low-end places like Polys, but for PvP, those are the three main core skills. For 1v1s, you can worry about more things like Vile Plan, Soul Harvest, Blade of Darkness, Cry of Darkness, but for the most part, those are the three skills you're going to want. As you go along, you can level up more things like Dead Hunt, Carson's Nightmare, Turnback Slash, and Violation. Soul Harvest also has a nice cast speed buff that you can do in 1v1s and Node Wars that is going to be really helpful for you. But like those three main ones I said, GRJ, Swirling, and Soul Reaper, those are going to be your bread and butter in Largescale. If you want to focus more on duels though, you can look at more things like Dead Hunt, Violation, Turnback Slash, because those do some nice damage but are unprotected, as well as Vile Plan. For core, you pretty much just take Grim Reaper's Judgment for the most part, but you can experiment though with some core Violation or core Swirling for the float on Swirling and FG on Violation. So, Rabams. Everybody pretty much takes Shadow Ignition as your first Rabam. Crow Nightmare is really underwhelming and not useful at all. Shadow Ignition is a really quick float and can be used outside of the iframe into another iframe really quickly to get a quick float if you can. This is a gap, but it's really small, and if you're fast enough, you won't get punished too often. So definitely Shadow Ignition as your first. So second, Engulfing Shadow, again, is pretty much the one everybody takes. It is a SA movement skill that also has a attack and cast speed debuff on it. There is a second option now that Abyssal Blow did get buffed, although it's still not that great and is really only useful in duels. It is a forward guard knockdown, and forward guard at the beginning of the skill, and you do need Abyssal Flame leveled up for this. So it's a range KD as you can see, and you get a little forward guard at the very beginning, but it's still not that great in Node War and can still be punished even in dual settings since it is forward guard only for a little, so most people still are going to be running Engulfing. Third Rabam is pretty optional, neither are that strong. Shadow Hellfire is the most preferred one, and it gives you forward guard for 2 jumps, pretty much like Dark Flame and Ultimate Dark Flame. Second option is Shadow Wave, which is similar to Abyssal Blow, where it is a range CC, although instead of a KD, it is a float instead. So it's really up to you what you want to use. I would say Shadow Hellfire is the most used one and is more so for Largescale, and Shadow Wave more for dueling and getting range CCs. So for my add-ons, I'm currently running these for Largescale as well as 1v1s. I don't have anything specifically set for 1v1s. So these are opt to change because these are kind of just experimental at the moment. Of course, Bloody Calamity, DoD, both great large-scale skills. The easy proc with large AoE, as well as Grim Reaper's Judgment, applying debuffs, as well as getting some damage up. Swirling, I put some DP on it just because it is AoE, so if you go into multiple people around you in SA, it is pretty risky. Karshans, it did get a bit of a nerf in the reboot, being slower and more damage reduction, but there aren't too many viable options to replace it. So Soul Reaper, another flow out of Swirling Darkness, out of Grim Reaper's Judgment. It is just a damage boost as well as some more critical hit rate. For 1v1s, you can replace Karshans with things like Shadow Eruption, Darkness Released for that KD and debuffs, or maybe buffs for yourself, or things more like Turnback / Dead Hunt, Soul Harvest, etc., even Violation. Just more unprotected skills that you can get away with in 1v1 situations. These are still up to change, so this is what I'm working with now, but keep in touch in the stream and maybe we'll have some new add-ons. Getting on to mobility, nothing really changed except just some nice buffs for mobility. There isn't any set combo, it's just chaining skills together like Shadow Leap, Midnight Stinger, Engulfing Shadow, your Night Crow, as well as Dark Flame and Shadow Hellfire if you do run that Rabam. You can get pretty far now. You won't be as fast as other classes, but you can cover more distance than before the reboot. So just chaining all these different skills together and seeing what you have off cooldown that you can use and being aware what you can do. So to stay protected while just in node war or even dueling, you need to know a few things about Sorc. So Sorc does obviously take a lot of stamina from your iframes. You just iframe over and over and over. It's not going to be long before you are completely out of stamina and can't move. You're just going to end up running. So trick to this is to know that your forward guard skills and Engulfing Shadow are going to give you stamina back while keeping you protected. So things like Dark Flame, Ultimate Dark Flame are giving you stamina back, even Dark Flame off of cooldown, although it is not protected. So you can chain things together like putting an iframe in between these skills to stay protected as well as regain stamina if you aren't pressured. This won't necessarily apply if people are keeping a lot of pressure on you. If there are very fast classes on you that are running you down, you are gonna have to resort to things like Nightmare maybe to get away, or Shadow Leap away. So you can do things like iframe Engulfing Shadow, iframe Shadow Leap, iframe Rushing Crow, Dark Flame, Ultimate Dark Flame, iframe C-Swap, Engulfing, iframe, Leap. You get the picture. These things are going to help you keep your stamina up as well as keep you protected and moving so you aren't just a sitting duck. Like I said, these things are situational though, so it depends on what class you're fighting and what you're dealing with in the current situation. But to be slow, you can just linger these C-swaps as much as you want. You can. Engulfing Shadow also has a lingering SA for a little bit that you can sit in. And you can just basically sit here forever with forward guards if you keep your opponent in front of you. The one thing that are big red flags with Sorc is a forward C-swap. There are two types of C-swaps. There's a regular C-swap that looks like this, where you cast your blade sideways, and then there is a forward C-swap that looks like this. This uppercut C-swap is a big no-no and will get you animation locked and sometimes killed. If you're dueling people that are aware of this, it will punish you. So I'm here, I can't iframe right away, I can't move right away, and I'm stuck. While if I do a sideways C-swap, I can get out right away. To get around this, if you want to move forward, you can do a quick Sinister Energy, which is DRMB, which also gives a crit buff. You could also do your evasion buff, which will help you avoid that uppercut C-swap. Or you can even turn your camera sideways and iframe to the left or right, whichever way you want. So if I want to move this way, I turn to the left, or I turn to the right, and I do Shift A or Shift D. Getting started with Sorc combos can be a bit overwhelming with all these new skills and combos that you see people do, so I'm just going to give 3 starter ones with 3 different CC types. We're going to start off with a float combo, which can be used off of either Shadow Ignition or Shadow Eruption. I'll do that one more time a little bit slower and go off the skills. So we have Shadow Eruption, C-Swap, Blade of Darkness, Swirling, Rushing Crow for the crit, Midnight Stinger, Iframe Behind, Darkness Released, C-Swap, TBS, although it'll be fast out of C-Swap, GRJ, Soul Harvest, and then Send the Blade with Shift Space. Next combo is going to be a Stiffen combo off of Midnight Stinger. It looks like this. So one more time slowly. Midnight Stinger, Darkness Released, C-Swap, Blade of Darkness, Soul Reaper, Dead Hunt for the KD, GRJ, Swirling, Soul Harvest, Shift Space, Send the Blade. The last would be a Bound combo, and it looks like this. One more time slowly. So we have Storming Crow, Absolute Darkness, Darkness Release, TBS, GRJ, Soul Harvest, Swirling Darkness. For Largescale, there's no real set combo. It's mainly just getting off your SA skills like Swirling Darkness, GRJ, and Soul Reaper when you can, and to try and CC and maybe execute low health targets. You're more of a ratty elusive class now, especially with the reworks, rather than a huge fragger. You can still output some damage with enough gear, but you're really only going to be getting kills with those 3 skills that are protected. But otherwise, you just stay elusive, keep doing those same ability combos to stay protected, and cause as much mayhem as possible. So that's about it. I hope this guide was really helpful for you guys who are trying to learn the class. Feel free to send me a message on Discord. I'll put my Discord in the description, and I'll try to help as best as I can. So thank you guys for watching, and have a good day.